Hello, this is Debra Wright with my final presentation for Alaska Native Studies F242. My writing examines the importance of traditional Native dance festivals and how they're more than just an art form, as they have a deeper sense of meaning and representation. Every aspect of the dances, from the masks worn to traditional garb, the location of the dances, when they're performed and why, all have greatly varied significance and meaning. Often the dances are to mark important moments in time, such as birth, death, marriage, or as a greeting to members of another village. The importance in the form of expression in dances can best be summed up by Unalakleet chief, who once said, "To stop the Eskimo singing and dancing was like cutting the tongue out of a bird." I will discuss the political symbolism of dances in regards to land claims and subsistence, the spirituality of dances in a reconnection to church, and in particular the Yupik Bladder Festival. This is a great example of the honoring of the seals taken previously in order to ensure successful future hunts, and that includes releasing the seal bladders back to the sea. This is actually a photograph of a hat that would have been worn at a traditional bladder festival. I will also explain a way of revitalization and cultural identity, a bridge to that, in regard to the Atka dancers, and that's featured in this picture. They're adamant about not wanting to be referred to as Aleuts, but rather as Unangaks, and I will have more about that in just a little bit. A variety of Alaska Native dances may use dancing as a way to greet members of their own clan, visiting members of another village. They may also dance to honor the dead or as a way to ensure a successful hunting, fishing, or gathering undertaking. This photograph actually shows the memorial potlatch that took place for Dr. Katie John, who passed away a few years ago. And as you can see, there was quite an attendance for honoring and mourning the loss of Katie John. Others may dance to pass on a story of historical significance or a lesson, and still many may have used dance as a way to intimidate or poke fun at others. In the case of St. Lawrence Island, there is a belief, a strong respect for the natural world, as the Eskimos there believe that the non-human persons have kinships, social organizations, as well as spirits and souls. And as you look here in this photograph, this is the Inuit wolf dancers honoring the wolf, and they've got beautiful masks and costumes that they've worn in this quite old photograph. When men dance, it's to show respect in particular to hunting and the ways in which animals behave. Often when women dance, it is more in reference to their gathering activities like berries and grasses, and also to their skinning prowess, as with seals. There are typically four categories of dance and how it relates with animals. One is actually where the, and that's where this picture kind of fit in with this as well. One is where the dancers mimic the sounds animals make as well as their movements. It's identification of the animals in which the natives interact. Another category is imagery, in which the trust and love between man and animal is displayed. The third category is where the dancer portrays feeling towards the animal, such as respect. And the fourth category is the everyday subsistence portrayal in their representation of life itself. Regarding identification, Hiroko Ikutsu states, dances in this category may address themes such as walrus swimming in the ocean, sitting on the ice, and being pulled by a hunter who harpooned him, all depicted from the walrus's perspective, observed and interpreted by a hunter from the perspective of dance. Now, to show feeling up in the North Slope, dancers may portray the fear and respect of the polar bear, either from the perspective of the audience as the bear, or the dancer as the bear, and there's actually a few versions of this dance called the polar bear shake. In regards to honoring animals, I have some pictures here. This is a Tlingit raven mask, beautiful work there, and there is a Tlingit eagle mask as well, and here is a mask made from salmon skin and some more beautiful work. Now, pairs or couples may exhibit the imagery of birds, mostly depicted in the nesting months of summer, as the birds nest and parent their young. The representation of animals may be in the form of an entire story of a hunt, from the beginning moment of traveling and searching for the animal, to the finding and taking of the animals, to the celebratory thankful gesture after retrieving said animal. After the United States purchased Alaska from Russia, there was a boom in tourism and relocations to Alaska. And the late 19th century Tlinkits actually became some of the first people to capitalize on this new way to make profit. And this is a picture of Skagway between World Wars I and II. And as you can see, the streets are quite crowded. Now, many of the Tlinkits sold their fares down there. They took, down on their docks, they took photographs with Westerners, or they were paid for exhibiting their local dancing talents. However, much of this profit and opportunity disappeared or was dissolved with the immersion of the U.S. military in World War II battles. Soldiers were no longer flocking up to Southeast Alaska to see its natural wonders and view the various cultures native to the area. So a lot of the Tlingit no longer had a way to make money. This is a great picture of masks, but it's not actually from the Tlingit clan. These were actually a story that I'll be bringing up later, but I just loved this picture. These were masks that were confiscated from a Canadian potlatch in 1921. So kind of the same time period, but with our Canadian neighbors over there. However, with the establishment of such native-owned tour companies as Tribal Tours in Sitka in the 1980s, there was once again pride in the dances themselves. As you can see in this picture, this is from the Festival of Native Arts, and it's a more recent photograph, but the 1980s are where we saw a revitalization of the importance of dance and what it meant to so many different villages and clans and such. Tribal Tours, this is a native-owned tour company. They often perform for cruise ship passengers. They've got dancers from the Shitkakwana Kahiti Community House. And in one itinerary stop, the tourists visit an architecturally accurate replica of a pre-contact Tlingit clan house. It's pretty cool. They, as far as a battle for subsistence rights as well as the various land claims issues, it can be said that dance movements representing subsistence hunting and gathering activities and the behavior of animals were an acceptable and prompt way to present Eskimo tradition and environmental knowledge visually, as well as a way to demonstrate the cultural embodiment of whaling and practice in Eskimo society. In fact, most Alaska Native Heritage festivals were reestablished in the 80s as well. So it was all of the different tribes and clans coming together to take part in their dances and reestablish their culture there. And going back down to Southeast Alaska, 30 years, this would have been Juneau 32 years ago. And a similar picture from 2 years ago of another dance and festival in the Juneau area. The Tlingit clans had, as of the 19th century, a memorial potlatch, which often included dancing for the deceased during Tlingit funerals. The matrilineal groups primarily expressed sorrow through their songs and dance, usually while displaying the crests of their clan, which was either eagle or raven. This is another memorial potlatch picture from Dr. Katie John's tribute in more modern times, and I just wanted to showcase these young participants. Back to the memorial potlatches of the past, the patrilineal mourners often provided the backbone strength, offering to handle the corpse and emotionally support the other mourners. The songs, dances, exchanges of gifts, as well as speeches, were a way of communicating during the potlatch and conveying the gratitude or sometimes even the competition between the participants and those hosting the potlatch. The messenger feast has been performed with various meanings, symbolism, and with both positive and negative outcomes throughout Alaska. This particular feast was quickly banned by the missionaries, The teachers, government officials, and others who, although some priests still allowed a toned down version without the use of masks. These are often referred to as kevgik. They were the most elaborate of festivals, with the host community asking the visitors to bring gifts. And there's also debate as to the purpose of the messenger feasts as well, as some may think that they were staged to taunt or tease someone who may have done something wrong within a short time period leading up to the dance. One of the boldest revivals of traditional Alaska Native dance was with the Atka dancers, as I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation. Previously known as Unanging, they were renamed by the Russian traders who arrived in their region in the 18th century. In tracing their culture back to their roots, they now prefer to be referred to as Unangeks. They have extreme pride in how they represent themselves during ceremonies, and that's rightfully so for good reason. Although the Russian Orthodox Church moved in and replaced much of the religious and social structures followed by the Unangan, they still lived amongst each other in harmony, mostly due to the relationship that they established during the height of the fur-bearing trade. Much of this worked in harmony over the course of the next 1.5 centuries. However, when World War II spread across the globe in one form or another, a major change took place in the Aleutian Islands, and it's estimated that almost 900 people inhabiting 6 islands in the Panhandle were sent to relocation camps without warning or notification, of which many of them died due to extremely poor living conditions. Contaminated drinking water, separation of families, a lack of medical doctors, sanitation, and heat caused quite a bit of hatred and animosity towards the United States government that took many decades to heal. Although just about everything had either been destroyed or stolen by undisciplined army platoons, the greatest loss was the deaths of tribal elders, the depositories of native language, music, dance, and regalia. The result of this upheaval was that, in the words of Kanglakiks, the Unangeks culture went to sleep. And that's according to Salmon. And that period of sleep lasted from 1945 until 1992. So it is quite understandable why this particular tribe is determined to dance with authority and why they partake in such things as the Festival of Native Arts. And in the following picture, we have an Unangeks boat launch ceremony. And this is a beautiful picture right here. Mask making was a common form of art and religious necessity throughout Alaska that pretty much went hand in hand with the dances. That is, until the arrival of missionaries, Europeans, Americans, and others who felt threatened by idolatry and worship of animals and spirits. However, it was not just the American, Russian, or European settlers that prohibited Native festivities, dances, costumes, and masks. Canadian natives were also affected by the disapproval of masks and ceremonial regalia by the Western world. And that's why I went back to this picture here. Following a large potlatch in one of Kwakwaka communities in 1921, 45 members of that region were arrested, and the potlatch collection, as seen here, was confiscated and then sold off to various museums. Almost 60 years later, the Canadian government finally began the process of returning to what they could of the 450 items confiscated during those arrests. A revitalization in Alaska Native dances, festivals, costume, and art can help to preserve the various cultures in the state. However, when the memories of the past have faded and those in the knowing of the ways of past, there is still possibility of preserving the culture and heritage, and it may involve incorporating the memories of other cultures or the addition of more modern living in order to keep the past alive, preserved, and passed down to future generations. And so finally, I'd like to just show off some of the various masks I found pictures of. And as you can see here, Central Yupik mask, Anvik mask, a Tlingit female moon mask. This is a more modern Alutiiq mask. I love the colors in this. An older picture of a Yupik mask. And here is a drum dance workshop, Inuit drum dance workshop to be exact. And in order to hold on to the past, here's a Drums of Winter documentary that was put out some time ago. And there you have it. That's my presentation, and I thank you, and I've enjoyed the class, and I wish you luck with the rest of your classes, and have a good day.